as the baoban tree. Quite frankly, that is something that I have noted for as a myth or an analogy. Asma has not just survived, but also has nourished the people around her, quite like the baobab tree. What a tongue twister that is.
It is a difficult word. You're very brave to say this on camera.
Baobab. What's okay. Asma, you, according to Business Insider's The Coolest, Times Magazine now calls you one of the top 100 world's most influential people. And I was curious to ask you, who are you, according to you?
I don't think I am anything different from the little girl playing cricket on the streets in Radhika. I should not like I'm trying to be very humble. I not ever felt, that it's surreal or something weird is happening around me. Everything has felt very organic. You can't work this hard. You cannot have so many pushbacks, have failed so many times, had really struggled to get where I have. Because the first defeat you have will crush you. And I just took everything as it came. I didn't become obsessed with anything. And I think that's why I survived, because I didn't make this into my mission in life. I was driven by the politics of injustice. I was driven by the recognition that in every house in India, it is a woman cooking or the matriarch. But when it came to restaurant, it was men. And why we were seen as unprofessional. Everyone wants our roti when it's free. No one wants to pay for our roti. And I just thought, this is so wrong. I was driven really by deep sense of this vision that, I really want to do something. That it happened to be a restaurant, that happened to be food, was not really the intention. I was studying law. I could have a Ph.D. in law. So I was looking at it in a legal way to fight this, to fight injustice. But I didn't want to cook. And a lot of people were like, you're a lawyer and you've got a Ph.D. Why do you want to cook? But I didn't fully think that this would ever happen. Then I thought, why don't I use this way of communicating, of using food as a language of love, but also using it as a battlecry for justice. And, so it was that's what where I am now.
Fantastic. When I was getting myself an appointment with Asma to come here to interview her this morning, your assistant told me over the phone, please come, she's fine to have you at whatever time. We discussed and coordinated. And then Asma left a message for me that please eat with us. Now that's a very, very Indian thing to do. I thank you for that human touch, because it was a while that I received something like that as hospitable. Now my question is, Britain loves our curry. But it's not just the curry, right? It's more than that India has to offer. You bring the perfect senses of Mughlai cuisine here. And Asma, you're more than a celebrity chef. You represent Indian culture, values, and the diversity one person has in India to offer. Has Britain been able to see that, or is there still something that India has to offer, which Britain and the world is waiting to see through food, through soft power, and through culture?
I think India has been incredibly depth. There's so much creativity, there's so much strength in who we are, in our diversity, in the fact that even the dal that is bakhared or tempered 3 villages away is different. We are just scratching the surface of what India is in it. And I am absolutely convinced, from the fabric we wear to the music to our food, the world is just discovering us. And it makes me really excited whenever I see someone of Indian origin, something that is Indian, something that I can recognize. I feel very emotional, because I think that there is, let me just talk about food. There is absolute racism when it comes to food. Our food is seen as cheap and cheerful. People are willing to pay a lot for French, Italian, Spanish, every other kind of cuisine. But somehow there is still the perception that our food is cheap and cheerful. Ethnic cuisine is supposed to be cheap and rustic. And it fills you up. Or when you have a hangover, you go and have a vindaloo. That is not our code. It is a very ancient and sophisticated cuisine. And when I thought that I'm going to have a tasting menu, which I had very briefly, at a very high price, everyone told me no one is going to pay that kind of money for Indian food. And I was giving luchi, aloo dum, not at all trying to make it look French or Italian, and God forbid those tiny plates of food. My grandmother would be shaking her grave when you give a small plate with, smidgen of food, no rice, no roti, how to eat? I kept it true to what I am, and it was so what? Immediately, and I realized that people get it. Those who travel to India, those who read about India, who listen to our music, who watch films. I mean, cinema is a huge Indian cinema. They get it. They understand that enough people who are getting it, who then bring their friends. This is the ripple effect. And I think that there is still so much people haven't discovered. I myself never call myself an Indian food expert. I go and I find ingredients I've never heard of. My mind just kind of was blown by the fact that you have this range of food. And I'm still on a journey of discovery. So I'm excited for those who are starting, because there's so much to, actually so much to taste, but also so much to understand and appreciate about India too.
Unearth, discover,
Yeah.
and love. Sure. Tell us about this badass gang you've got there, the all-women crew that runs the kitchen here, works very hard with deft little hands and prepare pieces of art that is so loved in London and Darjeeling Express.
I think that the beating heart of Darjeeling Express is the kitchen, is the women. We were always a collective of women. I have never ever been on my own. From the day I started, there was always someone that did. I see people in the kitchen now. He started the day I started from my house. So for 12 years. So I think that, yes, I am the face that people link to the restaurant, but it is a collective. I am not the person who's cooking. I am not the person who's serving or who's working at the bar. I am not everything. I am one person. I'm equal to everybody else. The day somebody doesn't come, you feel the pressure. The day I don't come into work and I do travel, people are like sad I'm not here. The restaurant is running like completely smoothly because the team is incredible. So I think that I feel very lucky that I am with very interesting people who are here. They have the passion, they understand. And they don't have to be Indian. Many of our team are not Indian. I mean, everyone in the kitchen is. But outside they're not. But they don't need to understand. They need to be human. They need to understand that there's a passion, there's a kind of rhythm of this place. And I think that you do not see an all-female kitchen cooking Indian food at this level anywhere in the world. We are the only one. Yeah, and the thing is that you do have, like Suruchi in Calcutta, where you have a kind of, a collective of women. But these are like, NGOs or charities. You have white women cooking in bazaars. But every time there's Eid, Diwali, Holi, you will find a wedding, in any place, in a basti or in a palace. The women are all huddling together. And they are a cuisine driven by the Shakti of women. And, everything, birth, death, marriages, all food is an important part. Seasons are linked to food. And, we, from giving food to the goddesses to, all celebrations, you feed the hungry, you feed the poor, we have, prasad, or you've got different kinds of food that is given in auspicious occasions. So food is a very important part of who we are. We just have not told the stories. I think why people may have noticed me is because I would not do stories just like that. I would do stories and food. I try to explain it because I want people to understand. You should not just take my food. You need to understand my stories. You need to know who I am, who my people are. Because the easiest thing for anyone to take is my food. They can take this food and leave. I won't let them do it. There's Kishore Kumar playing in my restaurant. There is this vision of these three grandmothers, all these women cooking. There is a kind of presentation of my culture. From the fact that we have all these, plants, I bring life of my country in there. This is really my vatan. This small space forever will be Indian in some ways because I present everything that I find sacred in here. And I think that people should be unafraid. You should not die. I have issues with people, blending cuisines. My skin is brown, my food is brown. I'm proud of what my food is. I don't need to make it look French to sell it. I don't need to make it look French because I need a Michelin star. But people do it. And it's fine. I'm glad that they are successful. I mean, a lot of people like their food. The world is big enough for everybody. But I also feel that we also need to highlight our food. What is authentic, what is sacred, what is precious, and what is delicious.
Of course, delicious, absolutely. The story, well, Asma is a fantastic storyteller, and her story, and a tiny part of her story, is that she is the second daughter born to her family, to her parents. And as you know, in India, still unfortunately, the boy child is preferred over the girl child. And Asma decided to then start something to cheer up women who gave birth to second babies, second girls. Tell us about it.
See, it's a very personal moment. It's when, and this happens in so many families, so people are rich or poor, the mother is made to feel she failed when she delivers another girl. You can't go into that private space. You cannot put your arm around every woman that this is happening. So in our villages where this is happening, where the girl is born to be low, we send firecrackers and you're like, nothing. But if you send firecrackers, someone will set it off. If you send enough floodlights, they will distribute it. Because of course, our culture is that a boy is born, sweets are distributed, there's fireworks. A girl is born, it's almost, there's darkness, it's like a death. I'm not saying this happens in every family. Please do not inundate anything by saying, oh, this doesn't happen in my family. Of course it doesn't happen in every family. But predominantly it happens in many families. And we need to talk about this. This is linked to this agrarian society, patriarchy, the fact that only boys inherit the family farm, the family house, dowry, getting girls. That honor is linked to the girl. No one links honor of a family to a boy. Izzat is always linked to a girl. It's never linked to a boy. The boy can do whatever he wants. The girl, Izzat is so important. And all these complications that come through by how women are, we've had this trial by fire, from historical times when you heard about women being their morality being challenged. It's so easy to throw mud at women, tell them that they fall native women. There are these little things that happen in societies, not just in India, in a lot of societies. And I think that we need to have also examples where we celebrate women, where we honor women, where we respect the touch of the woman who's cooking. And I'm trying to do that because you cannot fight an entire culture. You cannot, and I don't want to. There's so much of my culture I'm proud of. But there are issues that concern me, and that's what I'm trying to raise, but not in this kind of, crazy feminist way where I'm going to go around, it's not about us and them. I think we need empathetic men. They are as important as women in this battle. You need to have this kind of collaboration. And I think that I'm trying to do whatever I can. And every day I live one day less. So I know that my time is limited. So I'm trying as much as I can. I work as hard as I can. And I'm grateful when I get this type of recognition, not in this arrogant way, but I'm grateful because I want another woman to see my face, see my name on the list and think, wow, she looks just like me. And think that, oh, I can also do something in my life. I really want to inspire women. No, this is not the autumn of our life. This is the spring of our lives. And in everybody, there's a second innings in cricket. And for me, I know I'm not going to get another chance. I will hit every ball out of the park. This is how powerful women in their 40s and 50s are. But our society, and the West as well, everywhere, makes you feel less powerful, less creative. Like as if, our time is past. Our time has come now. Look at where I am.
Yeah, I told you she's badass. Now, I have one last question to ask you before I let you go. You said try the fire for women. Find the fire for women in fine dining has been a nominated subject.
Yeah.
And in a place like London, which is so multicultural, accepted, there is space compared to England. There is space for everybody. But you had certain challenges.
Yeah.
Talk to us through those challenges and what that trial by fire was for you.
Well, in the beginning, and I'm very politically astute. I thought I understand, I have to cut these kind of nuances. When I was in another spaces on the other side, when Netflix Chef's Table happened, everything just exploded, out of control. We were just like struggling at a small space. There was very little storage space. I desperately started looking for a place. I paid my tax, so I wasn't just verbally going and saying I'm very successful. They made a huge amount of money. I went around talking to landlords saying, please, can you find me a bigger place? And everybody was saying, oh, there's nothing, that is appropriate. And they kept asking me, so who's helping you with your finances? Who's your business partner? And I only realized this in COVID, where suddenly so many male chefs failed, so many places closed down. And all these landlords are calling me saying, do you want some fabulous property in the West End? And then I realized that when they were telling me who is your business partner, they wanted to know who the suit in my life was. And in India, they will ask you your open needs. So who's your father? Where's your husband from? Which school did you go to? In the West, it is very, very nuanced. There's a veneer of respectability. And I realized they're asking me for my suitable boy. In India, they would ask you openly. Here, they ask you in a very subtle way. And I thought, fine, this is when my moment comes. What COVID did for hospitality is clear the chessboard. I said, you bring me back, I will be great. I will go to the best property, and I did. I went to a place in Covent Garden, massive, great listed building. But I had to wait for a global pandemic for that. And I don't know whether it is the color of my skin, whether it is my accented voice, but I think one problem is being a sole female founder. Everyone wanted to know who my backup man was. And that is hard, and I think that we need to also talk about this. You know, when you look at venture capitalist money in the West, only 1% of all funding goes to women. Women of color, they don't even register. The fact that a man, can go in and be, mediocre, but be just bombastic and get the money, whereas women are just more cautious, they're careful, and the questions they ask. This happened to me, when they ask questions, and I'm not stupid, but I struggle to answer them. Almost the questions are designed to make me fail. Why I am creative and passionate, I can make the business successful. Yes, I cannot explain certain things about the finances, but I'm telling you, people work. And I can explain things intuitively, and a lot of women are like this, but a lot of men are like this as well. But the whole system is set up for a certain kind of man. The networking is very male, and I have always described this modality in this country as an all-white Mayfair club where women can come, but they're never members. We are never seen as on par. We're always seen as less than many. This is unacceptable, and I am sowing a harvest I will not reap. I may not live to see a change when a woman walks into a room and owns it, that she's in this powerful hospitality space, so powerful. But it will happen, and I'm doing my best. I will not see it, maybe I'll see it. But the change is definitely happening.
Thank you for doing what you do, Asma. Any unfinished recipe in your life yet that you're waiting to finish and serve?
This is that, scene from Swades. I feel the call to go home. Now, I'm getting emotional about that. At some point I will go. Because there is something very difficult. When you live away for a long time, there is something about even the brick and the dust that flies, they recognize you, they know your name. Over here, I can be wherever, I can be at any stage, I can have all the accolades. But I don't feel that earth recognizes there. But it does.
But even after 3 decades, you belong.
Yes, even after 3 decades, that's where I belong. That is where my sustenance comes from, that's where all my creativity comes from, that's where all my food comes from. And in every difficult moment, it is things that are back home that give us strength.
Thank you so much for talking to us. Asma Khan, as genuine, as humorous, as badass, and as successful and inspiring as can be. Radhika Iyer from Asma Khan's Darjeeling expressed one of her little ventures, but a highly successful one from Central London, NDTV.